Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Office Hours Tuesdays Focus. This is for date code 260512. Full disclosure, tonight's guest is a longtime colleague and friend of mine, Felipe Baez, who largely spends his time as a workflow consultant in Europe, splitting his time between the Czech Republic and down in South America, Brazil, to be precise. He's here not just to talk about the state of the industry and the areas of post where he works, but also to show off the newest of his initiatives, Kinora. We'll be talking about that in just a minute or two. It's a new cloud-based system for helping production shops manage today's complex workflows. Felipe has had a long career, including time as in the trenches as a lead assistant editor at HBO's Q Into the Storm, as a workflow architect hanging around Apple, and a post supervisor for global consulting firm Accenture. I could go on, but I'm not going to bore you with that. I'll just say that he deeply understands the art of moving pixels around in a global virtual workflow. So we'll get to him in just a second. Right now, I'm as always, joined by Cindy Drozda, who will be handling our live questions for the show. And as always, if you want to enter your questions for Felipe during the show, let me pop the QR code up on the screen. You can simply shoot that with your phone or otherwise type in askofficehours.global. That'll take you into the Q&A system, and you can put your questions in for Felipe as the show continues. Post-production workflow. Everything's changing so fast, and we're going to be talking about cloud storage, how to maximize the efficiency of editorial teams and all that sort of stuff. So without further ado, let me get the QR code off of here, and then I'm going to turn to my friend and say, Felipe, how the heck are you doing?
Thank you, Bill. I'm doing great. Very happy to be here again. It's been such a long time that I haven't come in office hours. The very original office hours that used to be very early in the morning and now in the evening.
Yes. Felipe has been here before and more than a few times. Absolutely. You know, I see you around in cyberspace all the time, but we really haven't been in the same room for some years now. So let me catch up a tiny bit. I mentioned a couple of cities. Where are you hanging out these days? What part of the world are you in?
After 20 years in Czech Republic, living in Prague, I have just relocated to Brasilia, the capital of Brazil, and
nice.
I'm here doing the expansion of my company.
Excellent. Okay. Well, let's not bury the lead, as they say in the newspaper business, or at least as they once said in the newspaper business when newspapers were a thing. I'll have a lot of general questions for you later, but let's start off with the fact that you've stopped by because of this new initiative, Kinora. Can you tell me a little bit about maybe what it is, who it's for, and why you're launching it now?
Right. So Kinora is something that we have been working for some time, and this is the very first time that I'm sharing the news about it with the whole world. Kinora is a platform to take care of three main things here on your post-production. Getting files, receiving files from someone, getting them to you. Then you edit on your NLE, and then after that, we are taking care of everything, hopefully. We're taking care of your revision part, the revision with your clients, and then we're taking care of your publishing. So you don't need to download your video, upload somewhere else. It's already in the platform. You right-click, you publish, and you're ready to embed on your website.
So it sounds a little bit like a share versioning system, a little bit like the kind of Frame.io thing, or at least some similar cloud-based distribution and team collaboration thing. Am I right about that generally?
If you put together massive Frame.io, Vimeo, and a little bit of Zoom, that's what we have.
That's pretty cool. Can you give us a talk through about what someone who's using the product would go through as typical workflow? Where does it start for someone who wants to use your tool?
Sure, I can give you two examples, and both of them are being used right now in the platform. I'm working on two documentaries, one documentary from Austria, another one from the United States. The one from Austria, we just shot new material from somewhere in the world, and that cinematographer needed to get us the videos and I needed to prepare those videos and get that to our editor. So we use the platform to create a similar portal to what you would see on Massive, and they have accelerated uploads that are resilient to network dropdowns. They auto pause in case they detect the network to be failing. They auto resume, and we got those videos downloaded, prepared for my editor, and then the editor made the cut, uploaded to the platform, and there we start revision. And that revision has some interesting things there that I shouldn't even be just talking about it. I should show
Oh,
it,
come on, we're
right?
old friends. You could no, don't break any NDAs. But if you've got something, tell us.
Well, I cannot show you those videos because they're still being worked on, but I can show you like my own YouTube videos there.
Okay. Um, this is a decidedly global perspective. It's one of the things when we talked very briefly before the show, you were talking about the fact that if you're working out of the U.S., your material kind of stays in the U.S. If you're working at someplace else around the world, your files kind of stay there. That's kind of a little different from how I think of cloud
E-
storage, where I think it goes up to one
Right,
place and everybody on the whole planet gets it. Can you kind of talk me through that?
right. Well, let's talk about how most of the services in the world work today. They put something in AWS. AWS has data centers everywhere, and you just don't know where your data is close to where it needs to be. That's how it has been working so far. But for the past few years, we have been getting everyone wanting to have data sovereignty. They want to know where their data is, under which laws they are, and
Ah,
that they are retrievable if you need them. And you can ask to delete them, and they will for sure be deleted from that service. So we are concentrating on data sovereignty. So, if, for example, if you are a client in the European Union, your data is only in the European Union. If you're in Brazil, it's only in Brazil. And if you're in the United States, it's only in the United States. You can share to people outside of your region, obviously, but the data itself is stored in your region, let's say. So
what's the
we think
advantage of that kind
that's
of
very
thing?
important.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
Yeah, we think that that's very important. I mean, if you think about GDPR, which is probably the most famous one here, um, I think we're trying to help uh, people, big companies, governments that really want to guarantee that their data is where it should be under the laws that they should be.
Yeah, we don't think about that a lot, but you're right. When your data lands in a country, you may be subject to a lot of different legal systems that you weren't quite prepared at whatever level you're on to deal with. So I can see that being a big deal. Can you talk to me a little bit about things like speed and safety? You kind of address accessibility a little bit, but what are you doing to kind of optimize access to these big files we're all dealing with these days?
Well, a lot of things. A lot of things are like a little bit of a secret flavor, right?
Hmm.
But we're doing a lot of how can I put this? We're trying to saturate as much as possible your upload and your download. That's as much as I will like detail here.
Okay.
Because also the data is close to you, you're going to have very low latency. So that's what's important. Of course, there are other things that are pretty standard putting it behind a CDN. A CDN will cache, will accelerate things. So you're expecting to have a platform that is very performant.
You're talking essentially about cloud workflows in general. As you've gone into this initiative, what are some of the surprises or what are the things you've learned that have been a little bit unusual about how the whole system works now?
Well, when we're doing this market research, we're seeing that obviously there are a lot of products out there trying to
Yes.
help post-production, and it's really, really good that there are so many of them because each one of them is bringing something a little bit different to the game. Uh, and when we came into this, we saw some space. For example, if we are competing with big ones like Vimeo and Frame.io and Massive, they have extremely large clients in terms of companies and the size of those companies. But if you think about the little studio that has 5 people, 10 people, uh, no one is really taking care of those. I mean, you can go there and sign up for the service, but what happens if you have a problem? Who do you talk to? Do you talk to a chatbot? You open a ticket. So what we're trying to do here is actually to have a human interface, to have a client account manager, someone that you can reach out to. So one of the things that I was mentioning so many times in the past few days is like I'm extremely afraid of growing too fast because I want to make sure that whoever comes into the platform has someone to talk to. That if they have a problem, they will be able to reach out to someone and get that problem solved. So we have that little market of 5 to 30 to 50 people in a company that doesn't make a dent to Google, Dropbox, Microsoft. But for us, they're going to be very important clients.
Wait, are you telling me that if I have a service ticket in and Vimeo has one, they're going to get to them first? or Disney, they're going to take care of Disney before they take care of me?
Yeah, like for example, I'm pretty sure that someone's going to ask something about AI at some point. I can tell you right now, as a company, as our values, no chatbots. We're not going to do chatbots.
Oh, come
No,
on. I've got
I
10 chatbot friends out there, and they're asking me, they've got great
sure,
investment opportunities.
sure. You can absolutely invite them to go for a beer. I hope they will go. Uh, Here, we're going to be able to, let's say, hey, Bill, let's go for a beer when we get NAB, and we're going to be able to do
Yeah.
that.
All the chatbots want me to pay, though, so I'm not too down with that. Anyway, we talked a little bit about security. I'm actually fascinated with this idea that you mentioned earlier about access to work files when things go, let's call it geographically dicey, because we're seeing so much news now, whether it's coming out of the Straits of Hormuz or wherever, there's just a lot of strife and stress. Can you talk a little more about I think people will be very comforted to know that if they need to get access to their data or if they need to locate it somewhere else temporarily so that they can feel more secure about their data being there when
Absolutely.
a particularly geographic or country location gets shut down or something. So talk about that a little bit.
One of the things that we want to have, because everything is separated by regions, for example, a specific team inside the platform is stored in a specific region. If they feel like, oh, good example, I was in Europe and now I'm in Brazil. So I was in a region where I had low latency in Europe and now I'm in Brazil. If my data continues to be in Europe, I have very high latency access to that media. Within our platform, we're going to be able to just migrate you from one region to another very easily. It's already built into our backend. So if a customer say, you know what, not happy that my data is in the United States, I would like my data to be in the EU for whatever reason. Okay, sure, we're going to transfer your data to the EU. Easy as that.
What kind of trends are you seeing? And, we always talk about backup. I think that's one of the most overlooked things, particularly if you have a growing business and you're generating a lot of new creative content or something like that. Suddenly you turn around and go, wow, it's been 6 days and we've been working like crazy. We have to shut everything down and just take some backup time. You talk a little bit about some of those kind of functions that you're allowing people to do?
Well, if we talk about the platform, because I have something else that I shouldn't be talking about right now. Maybe we can talk about like towards the Q&A, but there is another platform that we're working on that is that's looking into very high security, resiliency, and backup, you can call it. Look, backup for me, you only have a backup if you have 3 copies in like 3 different places. Three copies, 2 different mediums, and you're working out of one at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
I operate a cloud business. I have been operating a cloud business for the past almost 4 years now. It used to be called Baez Cloud. Started outgrowing what I could do under that name, and then it became Nuvon. But I tell you, don't trust just the cloud for a backup ever. It's The cloud is great to access your files, but you should have a copy of them in another place as well. I have copies of my data everywhere. So
I'm going to suspect, because
Backups.
I've known you for a long time, that latency is something you pay a lot of attention to in terms of file
Hmm.
access and the rest of that. Can
Yes.
you just tell us in general, what are you seeing as a professional in the industry about the trends in latency? Is it getting to be a bigger problem, or are the fact that all these server farms going up like crazy and sucking in all the power making it safer, or making latencies generically lower? What are you seeing out there?
Well, the world is a very big marketplace right now, and as a services company, we have to partner up with other companies, and there are a lot of options. There are a lot of options, and that's great. In terms of latency, we are trying to stay below 20 milliseconds for anyone in the
That's
world.
pretty quick.
That's a reason why we're also that's very good to have data very close to you. I think I know the latency between almost any spot in the world, how many milliseconds it is, the paths in which that information is going through. I will never be as good as JJ McKenna, but I try to be dangerous about it.
Well, we're seeing so much money going into the cloud, and so just again as a professional, do you think we're going to run into how fast do you think we can get before we run into whether it's physics or the nature of the network or whatever?
Um, Let me start by prefacing that for the past 15 years, I've been thinking, oh, that's a bubble. It's gonna burst at some point, but it's only
Hmm.
getting bigger and better. Latency is lowering. We're getting uh, bigger amounts of storage per square inch. We're getting faster storage. Uh, Cloud keeps on growing. I was skeptical before, but right now and because of the AI boom, you see there is more money being poured into chips, into fabs, into data centers. Um, Everyone is suffering right now with the prices of RAM, of storage. It's very difficult to imagine that this will end at any given time in our lifetimes, or that it will decrease the speed. I think we're just gonna continue like accelerating and moving forward with that. If I know my pocket is very sad with having subscriptions for everything, but
Yes.
on a personal level, absolutely. Having to have subscription for almost anything that I want to do on my personal level, but on my professional level, I learned how to cope with that and charge the client, right? For whatever
Yeah.
it is that
Pass along
I'm
costs.
needing
Sure.
to pay. So for me, cost of subscriptions and cloud and AI are a non-issue for me personally today. So I think I'm very positive with that.
Well, you
I
mentioned
don't know
the
if I
the
answered.
it's
I
fine.
forgot
You
what was
mentioned the
next.
scary letters AI. This is like the third time. So obviously it's top of mind, as it is for pretty much everybody in the world now. Do you want
Hmm.
to give us your 2 cents about where you see it doing us the most good, and or if there are areas where you see it doing us the most harm?
Okay, let's be very I will cause like I have very strong opinions about AI. For me, AI is split into two, assistive and generative.
Okay.
Assistive, absolutely great, fantastic. It's there to help us do something better. Uh, and then there's generative. Generative could be very good if the world would be evolved enough. The problem is, for some reason, we love to deceive people. We love to say things that are not true. And right now, and some people are going to say, you know what? We had that with Photoshop. You could
Sure.
doctor a photo and say, this is real, and when it's not. The problem is, at that time, and still today with Photoshop, you need to have skill and you need to spend time doing that. The problem with generative AI is that it's very easy for anyone to create something that's completely untrue. And not only that, we're living in an age that whatever people see on social media, they absolutely believe it. They saw on a reel on Instagram, they're going to believe it, even if it's absurd. Even if it's absurd, their mind registers, their subconscious registers as being true. So I would love to like generative AI, but I don't think as humanity, as humans, we're not ready for it. We're just not evolved enough for it. So I think that's my strong opinion about it. I would curb a little bit. I would like trim a little bit the capabilities of generative AI in order to allow us to distinguish what is true from what's not.
I've actually even been thinking a little bit about the utility AI stuff. In terms of the fact that just wondering, I was listening to somebody talk about the fact that this generation of kids growing up, because all of them have access, at least the ones who are connected and smart, all of them have access to these same tools. I think the premise of the discussion I was listening to is, how is anybody in a high school class going to stand out if they're all turning in term papers that are generated out of ChatGPT, and they're all using the same tools to generate their work? How do you differentiate yourself from any of your peers? Are we going to get to the point where the bell curve starts really getting flattened out distinctly, such that you've got people who just can't use the technology at the bottom, and you've got people at the top little piece? But that, I used to call, I guess I've been thinking about it like a mesa, because I came out of the Southwest. The whole top of that curve is just flattened, and anybody with access to the tools can do exactly the same work. How do you stand out? You want to
I
weigh in
will
on that?
use the words of a friend of mine. He is a university teacher. He's a history teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he had an absolutely great point. He said, we need to adapt education because so far we have been measuring education by how many things you can memorize and spit out again. And now we have to evaluate things differently. We had something similar when the calculator came out and calculators started being popular. Hey, we're not going to learn math anymore. But no, it allowed us to do different types of calculations, harder calculations, because then we can skip that time of calculating the small stuff into getting harder equations. And I think with AI, if it's done right, if it's used right, I think we can advance very quickly, because the thing is, a book and a teacher will set the rhythm in which someone learns. With the internet and with now AI, anyone that has the interest can leapfrog in front of what they're supposed to be learning at that time. So I am a self-learner. So whenever I'm curious about something today, I'm like, hey, Claude, hey, ChatGPT, what's about this thing? And
Yeah.
then, of course, just don't trust blindly, double check. But we're getting like Claude 4.7 is spitting out some amazing stuff. So
It is. Somebody was talking about OpenClaw on the show, about the fact that these agents now, agentic AI, they're the bots are talking to other bots while you sleep and figuring out what you should do without human intervention. It's just an interesting time that we're living through right now. Hey, I wanted to get on a different subject. That is, I know you've been back and forth to Europe, and you traveled over the last 4 or 5 years way more than most of the people I know. What's it like trying to move around through the world in these days of heightened security and things like that? Have you run across difficulties, or is it as easy as it used to be? And what happens when you have to go on the road?
Europe is crazy right now. They have the digital tracking of people in and out now, because in the past, up until very recently, the way they kept track is just by the stamps on the passport. And they
Ah,
have a system to check that, of course. But now it's electronic, and getting into Europe is really, it can take like 3, 4 hours in the queue. Getting out is
interesting.
more or less easier. Brazil is kind of similar to that because we're using electronic gates. Electronic gates are so slow right now. But I I think I'm more used than most people because in the past 2 years, I think I've been to 12 different countries. From those 12 different countries, I think I called home at least for more than a month, 3 or 4 different countries. Uh, but I'm tired of living off of suitcases and moving around. I really want to stay here for some time now, at least 1 year.
Okay, I got to ask you one more thing though. Your data processes, are you concerned about traveling with data? And we've heard horror stories here and there about people in different countries looking through thumb drives and things like that, looking for very specific things. Have you run across that kind of hassle in travel?
Yes, one of the documentaries I'm working on has extremely sensitive data.
Hmm.
Uh, when I got the data for the first time in one of the countries, I had to travel with that data with me. I was so afraid. I was looking over my shoulder the whole time. I was in the city and when I was going to the airport, and we made sure that everything was encrypted. So if anyone would steal my computer or my bag or anything like that, we would be safe there. Uh, I am afraid. Yes, I'm afraid mainly of overreaching governments that really try to force you to hand over your encryption key or your password or anything like that. Um, so there is more about that later in the show
Okay,
on the
yeah.
second project.
So things to think about. Well, that's one of the reasons I was really excited when I found out you were coming on the show and we get a chance to talk because we haven't been able to sit at one of those NAB lounges over the course of the last couple of years and have a beer and talk about what you're seeing out there. So I thought we'd do a little bit of it on the show. I believe we're very close. Let me ask you one last question before we get to our Q&A and open it up to everybody who's listening to the show. Looking on the horizon. Are there any trends you see that you can talk about in terms of either cloud production or technology or acquisition or anything else like that? Is there anything that's popped your curiosity that you're going to explore a little more and that you're hot on right now?
I think there are a lot of people interested in integrating machine learning and AI to their processes. For example, I added on Final Cut, and Final Cut was a little slow to get there, but we can see some very interesting things being added there. I think in general, assistive AI, what Apple would have called in the past machine learning, I think that's a very interesting trend. I don't want to say the generative AI. Uh, in Brazil, generative AI is very popular, extremely popular. Suddenly, any shoe shop or furniture shop here, they're putting out extremely high production videos with people with 3 fingers. Um, AI has like otherwise they wouldn't have budget to make a very nice video, compelling video for them to share on Instagram, on TikTok, and so on. I'm not concentrating on that part. I'm concentrating on the part of like, let's see how AI can be a little bit invisible and help you in the background achieve some stuff. And that's what I did in my platform, actually.
Hey, I've been enjoying talking to you so much that I've been neglectful. Did you have a little demo kind of thing you wanted to show us, or do you want to just
Yes,
see if we can integrate it in Q&A? Okay, show us a little bit about what you're doing.
All right. So hopefully you're going to be able to see here my computer.
We
Right
can see
here,
it.
I have one of my teams, Nuvon Brazil. So this one is storage that is in Brazil right now. Uh, I have a few trailers here that I loaded before, and I will just play a little bit for you, and I will freeze here very quickly and talk to you about a few different features that we have. Maybe it's going to be a little bit safer if maybe I go into my YouTube videos, because those I have the right for. Here. This might be a very familiar interface for a lot of people. You have video, you have timeline, and you have a comment section. Great. So let me talk about what's different. What's different is I don't need to interrupt my video in order to grab my thoughts and find the places that I want to make a comment. If you take a look at my timeline, I'm adding markers. There's very small blue markers on my timeline that I'm adding. And I will go a little bit forward here, but I marker somewhere else. And what this allows me is to watch the whole video through without having to stop all the time, marking the points that I want to later on comment. And then I can come here to my notes section and I have all my time-coded markers here that I can add a comment. I don't remember what part that was. So, okay, that was the aerial footage. That's a beautiful green hue. I can save that as a draft. It's not in my comments, it's not public. The thing that some people hate is that they are making comments about something that gets answered 15 seconds later in the video. Everyone already saw that comment. They received notifications about that comment. But here you have some time to think about it, put your thoughts together, and then you can commit that comment and it goes to the public. Easy, okay, simple. We also have our transcripts. As soon as you drop the video in, we're going to transcode it to have a version that plays well on the web, but we create transcripts in whatever language that is here. In this video, it happens to be in Portuguese. And what I can do is I can just send it to translate. So in a couple of minutes here, we're going to have a translation of that transcript. Okay. And one thing that the platform is also doing here in the background is with that transcript, we created captions. So if I come here to a point that someone is speaking, we can see the captions coming through there. And those captions are 100% based on the transcript. So if you change anything in the transcript, which you, by the way, can, I can come here and edit. And I can edit any line that's here. So if something came out wrong, you can correct it. You can actually hire a professional translator to come here and correct the translation and correct the transcript. And then once you save it, we actually have a new version of that transcript.
Nice.
So we think that's pretty interesting, right? But then gets a little bit more complicated. We have an audit trail. So this is something that big studios we want to have. It's a log of every single person that has access to the video when they accessed. There is something that's very interesting. It's very niche, extremely niche. Let's say that you finished a documentary and you need to make a cue sheet with every single archival material that you received. You can come here and add your EDL, and the platform is going to read the EDL and pull the stills from every time code in and put it in your sheet. We're planning on having this feature be even better. So we're hoping that people are going to tell us what it is they want. And then we have the nerd section here, which is our metadata area. But our metadata area is really, really awesome because we evaluate your video and match it against some broadcast standards for loudness and for a bunch of other things. It's probably very small there on the screen, but I will leave this pop-up here. We are matching the standards against, in Brazil, 7 different networks. In the United States, Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus, Peacock. And then there's also Apple TV Plus, YouTube, and so on and so forth. So we're checking for audio, codecs, resolution, color primaries, and we're telling you if you're going to pass their check or not. So you already know before you send them if there is something missing on your file. And on top of that, we actually give you some flags. For example, I'm going to get into a different video here. Trailers, one that I think is very interesting, the Spider-Man trailer. On the QA here, our QA flagged a few different spots that have black frames. So it's going to tell you, hey, there are black frames. Are you sure that that's on purpose? So I can click on that time code and it's telling me the range in which there is black frame. So I'm just clicking through. Of course, nothing's changing because I'm clicking through black frames. We're checking for freeze frames. Freeze frames are pretty interesting because it's a threshold. There is a certain amount of pixels on the screen and a certain amount that is not moving. So we're going to flag that. So right here, Peter Parker is very still together with a bunch of things, and looks like that the guy in the background is just masked off. So we flag that. We flag here, for example, some shots that are just very few frames that are moving. So we want to make sure that we are catching that for you. And that's the type of AI and machine learning that I think is very interesting. It's doing a little bit of work for you in advance, but is not replacing you in any way.
Well,
We have here
it's
the
not,
activity.
it's not doing the work for you. It's telling you that something may need to be addressed so that the people involved in this
Absolutely.
can address it.
And then I can see whoever is watching that video at the same time as me. And in my player, things start getting a little bit interesting here because I have a few buttons. One of them is my scene detection. There is very faint white lines right above the timeline here. Those are the points of cuts on my scene, and I can just navigate with my keyboard up and down through those scenes very quickly.
So you got
Uh,
basic edit detection built right in.
exactly. And
Nice.
then we also have a few more things. So for example, if I were watching this here, we have LUFS meter. I need to unmute. We have LUFS meter built directly into our player. So for whoever will need that, we have it. I will switch it back off.
Hey, Philippe, somebody in
And
my ear told me that we're missing a little bit of the bottom of your screen on there. Is there a chance to resize so people can see a little more about what you're talking about?
is it better now? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I see it now. I think I think we have it all
There
now.
you go. There's your bottom margin. Thanks.
Yes. And what else do we have here? Now I have my face detection. What we're doing here with the face detection, we are detecting faces that are significant, a certain amount of pixels and in focus mostly, because we can detect out of focus as well if they're very big. Uh, and these are all the faces that appear and when they appear, for how long they appear. I think this can be really interesting for marketing agencies that need to have a balanced spot with a certain amount of actors, different races, and so on and so forth. Uh, and I can take a look at all of the faces that we detected here. So here I have Peter Parker. Hey, this Peter Parker, I think it's the same one as this guy here with the mask. So I can actually merge them together. And if I select Peter Parker, I can come to my timeline and only see the moments that he appears on my timeline.
Wow. So people who want to really do a in-depth analysis of a scene or a series of scene or even a whole movie post at least the rough cut, it's going to give them a lot of data that they wouldn't have otherwise had.
Yes, and that's what we're trying. For example, for those people that are working with audio, of course, we have the waveforms here. We have the LUFS inspection right above it, telling you everything that you need to know about it and how we're comparing, what we're comparing to. Still here in a part in the part of revision, I'm showing you revision. There are other two things that the platform is doing that I haven't showed you yet. But in the revision, you're going to be able to share a revision link with someone that's going to be able to watch this. Doesn't count as a seat in our platform, so you can send to as many people as you want. Uh, but it's very interesting that our platform does one thing that I find very cool, at least. We have this sync button here on the top. And when I have this sync button enabled, anyone else that is accessing this link will have a little notification in the bottom saying, do you want to join that sync session? And what happens is their playheads are going to be in sync. They're going to be frame accurate with the playhead. So you can generally you would be doing this revision asynchronously, right? So
Sure.
I send you the video now, you watch it when you can, and you make comments, and then I check later on. But if you want to do right now together, you can. You synchronize your playheads, and you can be talking about the same thing. But why go into a Zoom call to talk about it and share the screen if you can just join the audio call within that asset here. So we have the voice call built in. So you have the playhead synchronized, and you have the list of comments that are here. So you can be on a full revision session with someone with just that browser open right there.
Nice, nice. We do have some questions, and I messed up my timing a little bit. Let's get to some of the audience questions real quick, and if we can get back to more demo, we'll do so. Cindy, What have we got as our first question?
Our first question today is from David Paskin in Miami, Florida. David asks, to what extent is AI changing the way you edit videos, and would you consider AI one of those better tools?
Oh, interesting. Felipe, what do you think?
On the assistive side, yes. So, for example, on Final Cut, I have the magnetic mask that does an incredible job, like rotoscoping objects and people in the scenes. That I absolutely will use. It saves a lot of time and is very helpful. And it's doing something that computers are good at doing, right? We're looking at those frames and understanding what it is that I want to do with those frames. In that sense, absolutely yes.
Let's go to the next question.
Next, we have Craig McFarlane in Boston, Massachusetts asking, with all the tech changes in the world, are your clients shifting what they ask of you?
That's a fascinating question. Are you finding that your clients are getting more sophisticated about the technical processes of making things, and are they asking you for more?
All the time. I would say that the corporate ones are a little less. And the independent filmmakers, a lot more. The independent filmmakers are like, can I have my transcript synchronized here? Can I have in multiple languages? Can I have it doing a pre-cut? I don't want these words. I want these words out of here. I want to do something that's very simple, a paper cut. We want to have a paper cut in our platform, something that you can watch. A director goes there and says, I don't want this section, I don't want this section, and then you export an XML, import into your editor, and you start already with some cuts. Yeah, they are asking for a lot of things, and I absolutely love the fact that right now I am in the position of helping them.
Lovely. Let's go down to our next question.
This one is from Guy Cochran in Seattle, Washington. So why do editors deserve better tools?
Leave it to Guy to ask very hard questions.
There you go.
Well, I think tools as humans have always been, and they have always evolved. We have always crafted tools. Tools helped us craft other tools, which helped us do better jobs and different jobs. So I think an editor with a better tool, with a new tool, can potentially do a different way of achieving the storytelling. I think we're living in very interesting times. Right now, we have applications that edit by themselves and put a cut out for you. And I think a lot of us are discovering that we are just getting everything the same, and we are missing that human touch. And the editors being there to tell that story is the human touch, and giving them the right tools to do that help them craft. I think it's important. I hope that's a satisfactory answer.
You're speaking my language. That's my issue with that bell curve turning into a mesa. If everything uses the same tools to automate, everybody's work starts to look similar to everybody else's, and you have no way to distinguish yourself from the great masses. Let's get to another question, and then I want to see if Felipe has something else he wants to show us. So one more question for right now.
Here's a question from Andre Dole in Berlin. What's one of the greatest challenges that you see for the midterm future?
Temperature, energy, and resources. I think we're in a moment, and you can see what's happening to RAM and to flash memory because of the huge amounts of data centers that are coming online because of AI. We are exploiting our planet a little bit too much too fast. And I think we're not really caring about the consequences in the long term. In the short midterm, what I'm seeing as a growing company is that everything is getting more expensive. We had a trend of everything getting less expensive, but costs of data centers, of power, and everything has been going up. I think as a business person, the challenges are cost always, but overall, I think we have to watch out for resources, temperature, and energy, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up now that you're in Brazil, and the biggest rainforest creating the most oxygen probably on the planet is literally around you. Does it feel more critical? You've been there for a number of years. At least you've been going back and forth to there for a number of years. Is there something you see that's worth chatting about?
I know people understand the importance of the rainforest. There are too many people putting too much money into exploiting it, and we need to always remember that these type of resources, if we exhaust them, they don't come back. Not in our lifetime, not as long as humans are here. So I think we need to take care of them. I don't want to talk about politics, honestly, but I think we know what's important to keep our world alive, and I really hope that people are gonna care more about that than money.
Yeah, no, we're not a political show at all, but just because of the uniqueness of the fact that you now live there and see it firsthand, we can read about these things, we can study data and the rest of that, but you literally drive in it, hike in it, and see it firsthand. So I thought it was a reasonable thing to chat about. Is there anything else you want to show us about the program? You want to do another little tiny demo? Is there an area you haven't?
2 minutes for 2 minutes for each other end here. The other part that I was talking about, it was acquiring media, right? So I have here my YouTube folder that has a bunch of my YouTube videos. If I right click on it and do file request, I can create a link for someone to send me something, and I'll call it YouTube. I'm gonna create that link. That link will ask me for a password that I have just set, and a couple of interesting things here. We're going to ask your name and your email, and that's very important. Why? Because we have a chain of custody. And that chain of custody, what that means is we hold everyone accountable for the media they are transiting through the platform. So if I come here and I want to drop a piece of media, so for example, this one, and I'll upload here. What our system will do is, as soon as your media finishes uploading here, we're gonna do a checksum. That checksum will then get into our system, our chain of custody. We're gonna have your name and your email all there, and me as the person sending, I'm gonna get an email saying the server received your media. Here's the checksum. Here's the file size. Here's the file name. We're good. The person who created the link to share will receive a similar email saying, hey, you received this here. And we have here, we have the video coming in here. It's already transcoding. It's already creating the thumbnails. And we have these 4 little icons here on the bottom left. Those are the analysis that we are making on that video. And maybe some of them are going to start coming through. For example, the audio analysis, the QA here is starting to come through. I have my chain of custody. Felipe from this email, from this IP address at this time has sent this video, is at the moment calculating that checksum. So this one side, getting your videos in. The other side is like, hey, at some point, I want my videos to be public. So I get to a final version and I want to share with everyone. I can right-click and publish that to portfolio, and that's it. And the moment this video is public, and we have right here a portfolio button that we see all the videos that I published, and we can embed that video on your website. We have the embed code. You have a public link to your portfolio here, hosted with us, and we don't put our logo on the player. And this is something that I think it's very important because a player without logo is pretty expensive, a very high performant player. We don't autoplay this here because I think it's a little bit invasive, but we're going to have an option there for you to set to autoplay. If I want, for example, here to change that thumbnail, I absolutely can. I can just come back here to my folder and set a thumbnail somewhere else as soon as this finishes transcoding. And that's it. The portfolio part, the acquisition of files, and the revision that can be synchronized with the call there with your client. We hope that people are going to be excited about this and are going to find ways to use and give us feedback and ask for more features.
Let's dive back into a couple of questions and we'll come back. And you said you had 3 parts. You've talked about 2 of them. Maybe we'll come back for the last one. But let's get to a question right now.
This one comes in from St. Paul, Minnesota. Tommy Chance asks, can you mark separate actors' voices as well, like the faces?
Interesting. Not yet. Not yet.
That sounds like you're taking it as a feature request, perhaps, or at least something. It
sounds like a feature request to me. Yes. Yeah. We have the pipeline that we're able to do that. We need to understand, of course, like every feature, we just don't want to just bolt stuff to it and have 1,000 different things. So, for example, if you can show my screen right now, like just for the super nerds here, imagine that this is a log video. It's not right now, okay? It's not a log video, but imagine that you have dailies and you have a bunch of takes, one after the other here in one timeline, and you want to send to your director. You actually can load a LUT on top of this. You can come here, you can upload your LUTs, and you can apply a LUT directly to your file. And we have scopes as well. We have RGB Parade, we have RGB Overlay, we have Luma here. So for some people that may need this, we have it. So we have a lot of features that are there. There is a bunch of other small things here that I haven't mentioned. But it sounds to me like a feature request that's within our pipeline and an ability to do that. So if there is a great use for that, I think we could add.
Thank you for the question, Tommy. I'm really excited for the answer because I'm in the midst of all these audiobooks and I've got all sorts of actors popping around. So tracking multicasts is something I'm doing every single day. Next question.
And this one is from Josh Kaufman in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. What features of Kinora enhance the experience of reviewing media together virtually?
Well, a couple of things. We don't charge ingress or egress like our partners or our competitors. So I think saving you money there on an accelerated upload that is resumable. Here's a feature I haven't mentioned. We have dedupe. What is dedupe and what it is for? Let's say our upload is very resilient to connection fluctuations, and if you go offline, it's going to pause. If you keep your tab open, once you come back online, it's going to resume. But let's say that by mistake, you closed your tab and you uploaded 95% of a 44 gigabyte file. And I'm telling you this because it happened the other day. And you closed your tab by mistake, 44 gigabytes, 95%. And you have like a 20 megabit upload speed. What do? Do you re-upload 44 gigabytes? Yeah, of course you do. But our platform, once you drag that 44 gigabytes, we do some very interesting magic here that we dedupe and we already know what you already uploaded. And we just finished from the 95 to the 100%. So I think that's very something that improves a lot the experience of someone receiving media and actually for someone sending the media to me.
Well, everybody's time, and we've all been in that circumstance. Oh, it crashed out at the tail end because it just hit a limit somewhere, and I'm going to be really angry for the next 24 hours because I have to do it all again. We've all been there. Next question.
This one comes to us from the QR code. Todd Wilson in Newport asks, what are a couple of options of software to use on a PC for video playback? We do not have a Mac and Playback Pro. I looked at PlayoutBee, but we do not use an ATEM switcher.
So I have been out of this.
Yeah. I'm wondering if this has to do with Nuvon particularly, or whether this is a carryover. But do you want to take a shot at it, Felipe?
Well, it's interesting because we have a professional player in our platform. I hadn't considered as a playout system, but I think I'm gonna archive that like together with Tommy's, and interesting use case, very interesting use case, because we have everything to make that work and actually output clean video to without the Chrome, without the players, right? To a separate monitor and something like that. Absolutely doable. Anyone that is having any of this interest in Nuvon at Kinora, I would say there is a little form of I'm interested in our website, so you can click there. Every person that clicks there, we're going to get in touch personally, send them an email once a spot opens, and we're going to have a direct communication of things that to hear what you think that could be interesting there to have in the platform.
Let's. Do you want to do the last piece of the puzzle? Did you did
Yes.
2 of the 3 pieces? What's the last one you want to tell us about?
Last piece of the puzzle. We are building a version 2 of Nuvon Drive. Nuvon Drive is our file storage platform, and this version 2 is zero knowledge with applications for computer and on the web. That means that you go through authentication, and you still need a master key to decrypt your files. Extremely safe, going through very high security standards. Also with the resumable uploads with dedupe before upload. So that's another product that we're going to have very soon with our own sync engine. That's going to be very fast. We're working on speed, and it's going to have LAN syncing as well. So if you're in an office and you retrieve 50 gigabytes of a file and there's another 10 computers that are going to need access to that, they're going to retrieve from the computer that already has it. It's not going to be pulling from the cloud. So there are a few things coming through. That's
nice.
The other piece of the puzzle.
I think we have 2 more questions before we wrap up. So let's get to the next one.
Josh Kaufman in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is back with us. How does Kinora structure its services for customers? Are the usage tiers arranged by usage or features?
So we have bundles. Those bundles are according to features. We start at bare minimum. I'm a solo user and I have some clients, so I just need to do review. We start there without any of the AI stuff. And then we go increasing prices with the increase of features that we have there. All of the bundles start with the same amount of storage, except for the solo 500 gigabytes, all the other ones 1 terabyte. We add user seats on each one of the bundles, and then you can add storage on top of that, and you can add even more users on top of that. So we're trying to make this like build your own set. So we give you the features, you choose which features you need, and then you add as much storage as you want or as many people as you want to those.
Nice. It looks like Cindy gets the last question tonight. Cindy?
Last question is for me, Cindy Drozda in Erie, Colorado. I'm curious about your business. How many people are involved in your company? Do you have partners, employees?
We have partners, employees. We have people now in 2 different countries. We have in Czech Republic and we have in Brazil. The team is growing. We are about 10 people right now and continue to grow. We have another 10 spots that we're trying to fill in the next couple of months here, and just expecting a lot more.
Felipe, I'm going to ask you the standard thing I ask at the end of the interviews for everybody. How do people get in touch with you if they're interested in your products? What do you want to give out in terms of contact information? And is there anything you want to wrap up saying?
2 websites, Nuvon.io and Kinora.media. You can find me on LinkedIn. I am Felipe Baez. It's Felipe Baez altogether in the end of the link. And you can find me as Fe Baez on Instagram. I'm going to start posting some stuff there because my marketing team really, really wants me to. And I'm really open to meeting new people and hearing what everyone is expecting of us. I hope that we can fulfill everyone's needs.
And just because some people listen to the show rather than watching it, Felipe spells his name Felipebaez. So in case you were going to write that down, don't do the PH thing. Anyway, Felipe, it's been so good to get back in touch with you. Thank you for being here tonight. I've got a couple of little promo things to do. Finally, next week, I'm going to be talking to Adam Tao, one of the smartest folks I know in the area, well, in a bunch of areas, but including app development. Adam's going to be here showing off his new app, Action Phrase. That's voice control for production. I'm always excited to see what Adam is working on next. So that's next week, Adam Tao and Action Phase. Phrase, PH. Don't forget the main show tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is audio day, so if you have questions that center around audio, it's a good place to be here at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as office hours always comes up. I want to thank the crew, everybody who's in the back end that you don't see in this credit roll that's about to happen. It takes an incredible number of very smart people to put this show on every week, and we appreciate everybody's efforts in that. Our Talk Traversal today, if you'd gone around to get the questions and answered and talk to people and get all the information you got of the show, this is show number 2240, 2,240 daily shows as of today. You would have traveled 25,000 miles. That's 40,000 kilometers, 198 million bananas for scale. We will be back next week with another Tuesday Focus. See you then.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.